Uganda Museum is located in Kampala, Uganda. It displays and exhibits ethnological, natural, historical, and traditional life collections of Uganda. The Museum of Uganda is another must-see attraction, and here visitors can learn about the country's history and culture from prehistoric times to the present day.
Well, this museum actually is the oldest museum in East Africa. And when I talk about East Africa, I mean East Africa of the colonial days, only 3 countries. So during that time, that is when it started actually in 1908 officially. But it dates back as far as 1902 when the ethnographical collections actually started being collected, and then officially they opened the museum, and it was to showcase what Uganda offers as far as cultural heritage is concerned about Uganda. Yes. And then later on it grew up to the museum we are seeing today, with very many actual sections coming in later on, including science and industry section, which we call the Independence Pavilion, which was opened on the eve of our independence in '62, and more other sections as we are going to see.
The museum started in a small Sikh temple at Fort Lugard on Old Kampala Hill. Between the 1920s and 1940s, archaeology and pathological surveys and excavations were conducted by Churchill and several others, who collected a significant number of artifacts to boost the museum. The museum at Fort Lugard became too small to hold the specimens, and the museum was moved to the Margaret Trowell School of Fine Art at Makerere University College in 1941. Later, funds were raised for a permanent home, and the museum was moved to its current location on Chitante Hill in 1954. In 2008, the museum turned 100 years old.
These are music instruments, and what is very important about these instruments is that we look at how society actually socialized, but also how society used these instruments for communication as well as education. So in different kind of scenarios, you will see that these instruments were partly used for communication, but also celebration.
Mukasa was born in 1870 to Zakaria Sensalile, chief headman to Kabaka. He was among the first Baganda to learn how to read and write in English, later appointed as one of the guardians for the young Kabaka Daudi Chwatu, and as Asaza chief of Chagwe in 1905, was one of the founders of the Boy Scouts movement in Uganda and retired in 1913.
Some of these actually got from different African countries like Homo habilis from Tanzania. We have the Paranthropus boisei in Turkana. Then we have the Australopithecus africanus. And so we are showing the kind of environment that these guys actually adopt. And so when we sit in the fossil record,
Yes.
we see where actually these guys live. Just to give a synopsis of which kind of wildlife do we have. Actually, Uganda is rich in both culture and wildlife. And so you can see the hippopotamus in the modern life, and then in the fossil form of it. This is natural history section, and from here up to the other side, this is part of the zoological aspect of Uganda. So we are looking at the different kind of insects and how do we relate to them. There's the snake, different snakes we have in Uganda. They can also be related to human culture, especially when we look at the totemism kind of systems we have in Uganda. For example, in Buganda Kingdom, people have totems, and those totems, they have apical ancestors, and those ancestors are either an insect, maybe a reptile, maybe a mammal, or even a plant. When somebody is attached to that, is either not allowed to eat it, or marry from it, or marry to it. So these are very, very important. This is ammunition actually. All of these are made from iron smelting, including the spears and arrows. And these ones they're showing different kind of people, different kind of cultural groups having these different kind of spears, you know. Then the dancing headdresses, these ones mainly are looked at in different kind of cultural groups. And apart from fashion and design, these ones were used in form of communication and entertainment.
The masks represent spirits from underground, for different traditional rituals.
You can see the smoke in the different kind of pipes, given different names, and those are the different kind of people we have in Uganda: the Hutu, the Chori, the Kiga, Mahjong, and so on.
And then these are tools for hunting. So when it's a bird trap down, they will put in food, so the birds go in, they will come out. Then there is a whale trap. They will dig a hole down, and when animals stepped on that, they will fall down. Materials for basketry, they will use papyrus, sorghum, sisal, elephant grass, and then these are some tools for weaving, like how they start building the basket. Scientific name of the tree is Ficus natalensis. Local name is Mutuba. And this is the inner bark that they use, the kind of malice to pound that inner bark. Could be softened and stretched into 3 different textures as fine as a cloth. These are their milk pots. These are made of calabash. Calabash is a plant. It's called the inside. So down are the garden tools used by different tribes and the kind of way they were being used to dig the gardens. And if you go to the southwestern Uganda, there's a topography where you have the kind of terraces across the hill to control elevation.
Sometimes people may ask why museum, because the museum is the center where you can know, you can have a brief about Uganda. Is it a natural site you want to go and visit? Is it a cultural site?
The cowrie shells, the first money, the grinding stones, broken potteries, these are all archaeological remains from different sites. And their excavation is in progress, some of the sites. And then there are a few illustrations as well as iron smelting. Each clan had a role that it could play within the kingdom of Buganda, and it could have an area in which it settled and controlled. So the area in which this artifact was found, the Ruzila site, it belonged to the clan of the Ota, responsible for bark cloth making. So that's why you have that impression of bark cloth. Archaeologists excavated that hill, it is 4 meters high. They found the remains down from Sembabule. So they believe this hill was like a rubbish pit. There were choice people would go dumping remains like rubbish, ash, sand. And this is one of the traditional beliefs. Before Europeans and Arabs came to Uganda, people were believing in traditional gods. Look up, that's Chibuka. He was a man believed to be the god of war. He was said to have had supernatural powers that wherever there was a war, he would see clouds forming from where spears could come over to the enemy. He believed that he had a foreseer that had warned him not to marry from the enemy side. And that during a battle with the Bunyoro, a different kingdom in the western Uganda, they had captives. And among those was a beautiful lady that he had a weakness and he married, and it was pointed with the words of the foreseer. And that when she had known that he would form up clouds, she leaked information to Bunyoro in the western Uganda. And during that battle, when they saw skies forming, they started shooting up. Chibuka is said to have been shot up and he fell on the tree.